What's going on, guys? It's Cole, and welcome to GPS Season 6, Week 8. So last week, we managed to get by the Tokyo Togekiss fairly well, I would say. So this week, we go up against a frequent opponent, and that is Andrew and the PSG Chikoritas. So let's check out his Generation 2 team. So for his X tier, he has Lugia. For his S tier, he has Porygon 2. For his A tier, he has Entei. For his B tiers, he has Suicune, Hitmontop, and Shuckle. And for his C tiers, he has Togetic, Steelix, Sneasel, and Bellossom. So I figure the same 6 that he's going to bring is the same 6 he has brought to every single battle. And that is Lugia, Porygon 2, Entei, Suicune, Hitmontop, and Shuckle. Because as you can see, he has yet to bring any of his C tiers into battle. Alright, so now let's check out our team. Alright, and so for our team, we have our X tier, Kyurem White, our S tier, Amoonguss, our A tier, Excadrill, our B tiers, Dracozolt, Gigalith, and Lycanroc, and our C tiers, Silvally, Skuntank, Articuno, and Mantine. So this week, I'm thinking of bringing Excadrill, Gigalith, Amoonguss, Kyurem, Dracozolt, and Lycanroc. Alright, so I will see you in the battle. Alright, so before we get started on the battle, I just want to apologize for the audio. I was using my USB microphone, and for a good chunk of it, I think I was too close to the microphone, so my voice is really loud and kind of sounds weird. And then a couple times I sit back away from the mic where you can barely hear my voice. So I just wanted to preface the battle by warning you what was about to happen. So I'll try and I also didn't want to re-record my audio because it took me over a half hour, and I really was not trying to record it again. Okay? So let's get into the battle. Alright, so we are now getting set up to battle Andrew. So like I had said before, the team I'm expecting him to bring is the same 6 he's brought every single week, which is Lugia, Porygon 2, Shuckle, Hitmontop, Suicune, and Entei. And the team that we're bringing is Amoonguss, Lycanroc, Gigalith, Excadrill, Kyurem, and Dracozolt. So I choose to use the peony music because, I don't know. And as we can see, we were right. He's bringing Entei, Suicune, Shuckle, Hitmontop, Lugia, and Porygon 2. As I figured. So we're going to lead off with Wolfie and Obsidian with Driller and Frost and Flame in the back. Nope. We're going to lead off with Wolfie and Driller with Obsidian and Frost and Flame in the back.
Oh my god, make up your mind. Okay. So we're leading off with Wolfie and Obsidian with Driller and Kyurem in the back. Alright, so he leads off with Hitmontop and Suicune. We lead off with Wolfie and Obsidian. So I expected him to fake out Wolfie. So I decided to Dynamax it and Max Rock follow Suicune. And I expected Suicune to attack Obsidian, so I have a weakness policy on it, so I went for Stone Edge into Hitmontop. So if we proc the weakness policy, it will get us to +1 attack, since we're sitting at -1, and it gives us +2. And he's Dynamaxing. I'm expecting this Suicune. Yep. So he Dynamaxes this Suicune. So yep, like I said, he goes for Fake Out into Lycanroc. We go for our Max Rockfall, which doesn't do much because of the -1 attack. So Max Geyser into Obsidian, which will knock us to 72, proc the weakness policy, and change the weather to rain. That doesn't do too much, and he switches out with the eject button. So we see the usual leftovers from Suicune. So the other items, as you saw on our Pokemon, are Black Sludge on Amoonguss, the Shuckle on Lycanroc, the Life Orb on Excadrill, the usual Choice Specs on Kyurem, and Choice Band on Dracozolt. So I switch Obsidian out for Frost and Flame. As his Lugia will protect. So I decide to kind of ignore the Suicune for now. So the -1 rock fall through the protect does like nothing. But it will proc his weakness policy and change the weather back to Sandstorm. So this is not a Sand Rush Lycanroc, this is Steadfast. So I figured just in case Lycanroc wasn't Dynamaxed and he decided to fake out Lycanroc, that would boost our speed a little bit. So he Max Geysers into Frost and Flame, resetting the rain back up. So I didn't expect Lugia to double protect. So as you can see, I go back and I double into Lugia. So I figured he wasn't going to try and double protect. So I'd easily be able to knock Lugia out. And now that full HP multi-scale isn't active. So we get the rock fall off to reset the weather once again. And as you're going to see, as you can see, both of our Dynamaxes really didn't do much for either of us. So yep, so we get the freeze dry off, so we will knock out the Lugia, who just dies basically. It does nothing. So he will max Geyser into Lycanroc, knocking us to 94 and resetting the weather one more time. I really expected Lycanroc to die there because he's not a bulky pupper at all. So he brings Hitmontop back out to bring us to -2 attack. And Kyurem doesn't care about the attack drop. So I decide to go for Psychic Fangs into Hitmontop. And Freeze Dry into Suicune because I'm not sure who he's going to fake out. So yeah, so he fakes out Kyurem, that's fine. We get the Psychic Fangs off. Still does okay damage considering the -2. And he will get the Scald off and Lycanroc will go down. So now it's 3-3. So we go out to Obsidian to reset the weather back to sand. And that is how it will stay for the rest of the battle. Since both of our Dynamaxes are done. So I protect Obsidian. And I will knock out the Hitmontop with Freeze Dry. So Hitmontop goes for Sucker Punch into Frost and Flame, does okay damage, but Hitmontop will go down to Freeze Dry. And the Scald hits the Protects. So Frost and Flame takes a little Sandstorm, Suicune takes a little Sandstorm, and now it's 3-on-2. And his fourth, as I figured it would be, is Entei. So we go for Stone Edge into Entei and Freeze Dry onto Suicune. So his Stone Edge misses Kyurem. Our Freeze Dry hits. Freezes Suicune, who then immediately thaws out and hits a Snarl. So that was unfortunate. our Stone Edge gets off and does really good damage to Entei, almost OHKOing it. And it's here that I realize he has the safety goggles on because Entei didn't take any damage from Sandstorm. So here, I decided to get a little crafty. Because I see how low Suicune and Entei are. So I go for Explosion. And I should have... me switching out wouldn't have mattered. But this is where I lose the game. Because I switch out Frost and Flame, go into Driller, who immediately eats the Sacred Fire from Entei. And it gets obliterated. So yeah, that was unfortunate. And Suicune goes for Scald. I thought Obsidian would live it, and it didn't. So yeah. So I definitely lost game 1 here, because he decides to go for a Sacred Fire into Frost and Flame, and Frost and Flame cannot live that, because Entei is faster than Frost and Flame. So he wins game 1. Here's the Sacred Fire. It's over, and I will see you in game 2. Alright, so here we are in game 2. He leads off with the same Suicune and Hitmontop, and I lead off with Frost and Flame and Death Cap. So I go for Freeze Dry into Suicune, and I also go for Spore into Suicune, because I figure Hitmontop's going to try and figure out something, so one of my moves will go into Suicune at least. I was totally okay with him maybe flinching Kyurem so then I could get the Spore off, but I was also okay with him flinching Amoonguss so I could get the Freeze Dry off, so didn't really matter. So he decided to fake out Amoonguss. So the Frost and Flames Freeze Dry goes off and does very good damage to Suicune, and Suicune goes for Snarl. So that was a totally acceptable first turn for me. Like I said, at least something would have gotten off. So I just go for Freeze Dry again, and I go for the Rage Powder, because I expect Hitmontop to go for something like Close Combat, which Kyurem would not take very well. So we get the Rage Powder off, the Freeze Dry will knock out the Suicune. And yep, he hits the Close Combat into Death Cap, who tanks that. So we get some Black Sludge recovery. And now we bring down Entei. So I go for Freeze Dry into Hitmontop, and I Rage Powder one more time, forgetting that the safety goggles allow him to ignore powder moves. But luckily the Stone Edge missed, and he switches out with the eject button. I would have loved a freeze there so that when it came back out, it would have been frozen, but that's fine. So he brings out Porygon 2. So I double into Porygon, knowing that I can't spore the Entei. So I Freeze Dry Porygon and I Spore Porygon. So maybe I'll get at least one status, either Freeze or definitely Sleep. So he's Dynamaxing. I wasn't sure which he was Dynamaxing, but it's Porygon. So Porygon gets to be a very bulky boy. Stone Edge misses again. That's twice in a row, and 3 times between the 2 battles. Max Hailstorm comes off into Amoonguss, who lives it at 41 HP, so we will get the Spore off. So we take some hail damage, we get the Block Sludge recovery. So we Freeze Dry. And we swap out Death Cap into Woodstock, because I know I'll get at least one turn of Sleep on Porygon, so that'll be good. And he finally hits a Stone Edge, which Frost and Flame lives because it wasn't a crit. And we get the Freeze Dry off, get a little more chip on the Porygon. Who's napping? So Woodstock and Porygon take some Hail Chip. So I Freeze Dry the Porygon and Bolt Beak the Porygon. Entei hits Sacred Fire and Frost and Flame goes down. We get the Bolt Beak off for pretty good damage, and Porygon sleeps for another turn. So now it's down to Woodstock, Driller, and Death Cap. So I was looking at the speed for Excadrill, so I know that Entei will outspeed Excadrill, which means the Sacred Fire is going to hurt. But if I Dynamax it, I don't think it will knock it out. So I Rockfall the Entei and Bolt Beak the Porygon. So he gets the Sacred Fire off, it does massive damage, and he gets the 50% chance of a burn. So his Rock Ball will immediately do less. And then it does more than half, which is more than I was expecting. So we take some Life Orb recoil, and we will get the Bolt Beak off, and Portagon will go down. Out comes Hitmontop, and it's 2-on-2. So I Quake the Entei, I Bolt Beak the Hitmontop. I mean, it really doesn't matter because he's gonna flinch Woodstock. So yep, he gets the Fake Out off. Woodstock will flinch, that's fine. But hopefully this Max Quake at burned and -1 will KO. And it does, so now it's Woodstock and Driller versus Hitmontop. So I max guard, just in case this Bolt Beak doesn't KO. But it does. So we win game 2. Now we'll see you in game 3. Alright, so now we are going into game 3. So he leads off with Entei and Hitmontop. And I lead off with Driller and Deathcap. So not a great lead, because I decided not to bring Gigalith into this battle. So I Rockfall the Entei and Rage Powder, immediately forgetting that he had the safety goggles on. The second I hit Rage Powder, I remembered, and I was like, oh my god, you idiot. I thought I threw the battle here. That doesn't matter because he faked me out anyway. Sacred Fire goes off. And he gets the burn once again, and I was like, are you serious? So we have the rock fall off, so we will now be faster than Entei. So we did less than half that time. And this is actually where I thought I threw the battle. Because I targeted the Hitmontop with Max Quake, and I Rage Powdered, again forgetting the safety goggles. Max Quake into the Hitmontop because, you know, I'm an idiot. Should have targeted that Entei. He switches out with the eject button. And sends out Suicune. Entei gets the Sacred Fire off and knocks out Excadrill. Dracozolt, because I know I can knock out the Entei with Bolt Beak, because with the Sand up, Dracozolt will be faster, and I go to Spore the Suicune. But he switches Suicune out and goes into Hitmontop, so Hitmontop will go to sleep. Thank God for that choice band, because if I didn't have it and I had the magnet that I had on originally, I think Entei would have lived and probably done massive damage with Stomping Tantrum. So Hitmontop goes to sleep. We take some sand. Deathcat gets some health back. Now it's 3-3. So now he brings out a Suicune. And I go to Giga Drain the Suicune. So he maxes his Suicune. and he max guards. So that was a good prediction for him since I doubled into Suicune. Hitmontop is asleep, and yep, my double into it didn't work. So I Bolt Beak Suicune, does just over half of its health. He hits Max Hailstorm and Woodstock goes down. I probably could have Rage Powdered there, but I chose not to. Hitmontop is still asleep. And we get some Giga Drain chip on it. Heal up to almost full. Now it's 3-on-2 in his favor. We send out Frost and Flame. So I Freeze Dry the Hitmontop to knock it out, and I Rage Powder. So we Rage Powder, we will knock the Hitmontop out with Freeze Dry. So now it's 2-on-2. He gets the Max Hailstorm off into Amoonguss, who will tank that. And now his Dynamax is done. So his last one is Porygon 2. So he's got a couple bulky boys out there. Yeah, that was a misclick. So I Freeze Dry the Suicune, and I Spore the Porygon 2. So we get the Freeze Dry off, knock the Suicune out, and now it's 2-on-1. And at this point, so he gets the Tri-Attack off and Frost and Flame. Burns it, but Kyurem doesn't care. We get the Spore off, and it's over. It's basically over at this point, because what's Porygon gonna do? So it's nice to get a win against Andrew again, considering the last 2 seasons he's beaten me. So we go up to 5-3, and we are now sitting at 6th place. And next week we go up against Tom and the El Paso Electros. So I'm hoping to increase my winning streak from 4 that it is this week to 5, so hopefully it'll work out. If Ryan can get his video up this week, or at all, I will post it in the down below. I'm having a brain fart here. Oh my god. The description. Yep, there we go. God. My brain just shorted out there for a second. So, yep, alright. Great end to this video, you moron. Alright, I will see you guys next week. Bye.